Trustee Piccoli, Trustee Myson,
Here.
Trustee Bellinger, Trustee Pankowski, Trustee Pridemore, Trustee Hashik.
Here.
He's here.
I heard.
Thank you.
Treasurer Razick,
Here.
Attorney Edis, Kelly, sorry. President Dilbert,
Yes, here. Approval of agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
I got one question on the agenda, the item B under president's items. I'd like to move down to the bottom of the president's items because there's some items that we're gonna be asked to act on. So if we approve them, then the budget amendments will change. So I want to put that after probably H or G.
So that'll be the new G.
Yeah.
I'll amend my agenda to accept that change.
Support.
Any other questions on the motion?
Actually, you know what? I do have a question. Does this include the agenda ad that you had sent us via email?
No, it doesn't. So that's why the budget amendments, I want to put at the bottom.
Oh, I'll include
Because
that.
if we have approved that, then that will require the budget amendment.
Okay.
So, but that's included in F or A?
No, there's two additional ones that we're adding.
Okay, so we're gonna make,
The email that was sent out about the demolition. And Sandy, did we send out a new agenda for the Olin Street?
Yeah, I'm just an agenda ad.
Chris, where would you like to put the demo under?
Yeah, let's put that after G, and the budget amendments, we're gonna move down to the end of the president's items. And I have one additional item, I want to talk about Olin Street. We could actually move that, put that in the B slot. Sorry about that, a lot of this stuff happened today.
Just to be sure to summarize it, we have for B will be Olin Street, H will be demo bids, and I will be the budget amendments.
Yes, thank you.
And again, I accept the changes to my motion.
And support.
Any other questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment on agenda. Approval of council minutes from the August 11th meeting.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the minutes of the August 11th meeting. Any questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Pankowski,
Yes.
Trustee Myson,
Yes.
Trustee Piccoli,
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger, Trustee Hashik,
Yes.
President Dilbert,
Yes. President, item A, resolution 20-017. It pertains to waiving the cost of sidewalk replacement on Main Street that was done last year. We were going to charge the residents But we felt that because of the grant that we received to do the other sidewalks, that it would be unfair to charge those residents on Main Street. And while two of the residents have paid their amount in full, we would like to reimburse them for what they have paid. And you see the parcels that are listed, those are the ones that are affected.
Does the resolution include the reimbursement, or does it have to include?
The dollar amount?
Yeah, for the two properties that they chose.
It's Waive and reimbursed from the, total amount. 583 to Main and 58816 Main is $2,800 each.
Yeah, I see that, but I'm looking at the resolution that we're gonna vote on, if it should be included in that, or does it have to? No, so.
Sean?
No, it does not.
I just have a question, if I may. So these sidewalks are not being covered with any grant dollars.
Which ones you talking about?
These additional ones that you said are not fair.
No, they're not being covered by grant dollars.
So we're gonna take money out of our general fund, our collective taxpayer money.
Our
Okay,
Act 51 money.
so it's the Act 51 money, okay, that's what I need to know specifically where, but no grant dollars are covering. So what if we have a resident somewhere else that says, well, I want my sidewalk to be repaired? What is our,
There's always that possibility.
and what is our, so what would our response be?
I guess the timing would be, if at that time we decided to, say, survey the remainder of the village and said, and let's say we agree to set aside $100,000 to just make general repairs of, first come, first served residents. Or at that time, we may not have any money. So
Right,
it's hard to predict what the, possibility, what the outcome will be.
right. It's not that I don't wanna replace these or help them to replace them in a financial, because really it's about dollars, but I just have a concern that there's someone out there with a sidewalk that's maybe needs to be replaced, and are we gonna replace theirs? So those are my reservations about it. I'm not sure what I'm.
If you look at the addresses, they're all on Main Street. Main Street is the main thoroughfare for the middle of town. So the argument could be made that since it is a walkway, a pedestrian walkway on the main street in town, if you look at the numbers of each address with all this undue and unfair burden on them, $7,000 because they have to live on Main Street, $5,700 because they live on Main Street. So I think we can share in that cost since it is the main street in town. So if anyone else comes up and says, hey, I need 4 squares in front of my house and I'm on loose, it's like, it's not a main thoroughfare. So maybe that argument could be made that it's the main street in town and these guys are gonna get dinged in the thousands because they live on Main Street in town, and if we want our Main Street to be walkable, it wouldn't hurt us to share a burden on others.
Right, which I don't disagree with you at all on that,
Yeah.
but I could choose any street, I don't know.
I don't know that any residential street's gonna come up to $7,000 in replacement.
And that's because of the width.
Yeah.
Correct, their lot size,
Yes.
based on their lot size.
Yes.
These guys, they ask the folk over a lot of money to live on Main Street. So if we want to maintain walkability on Main thoroughfare to the old part of town,
Right.
I think we could probably help them out.
I
Right,
truly believe that in the future, there will be the potential to put together a program to possibly assist residents in the future.
okay, I guess that's all I wanna put out there, that are we prepared you know, when we do
I-
that.
I wouldn't guarantee that.
I understand that,
But
again,
the way we're budgeting and the way we're looking at dollars and cents, I think that potential would probably exist in the future.
okay,
And I
No.
can see where you're coming from, I mean, we are taking into who we're paying for sidewalk replacement when it is the homeowner responsible, so it's something we do need to be cognizant of when we try to sell that in the future.
exactly, that's exactly how it goes.
And, you know, like, it was unfortunate or fortunate, depending on how you want to look at it, that this grant right here was only, could only be applied to the west side of the railroad tracks.
Right.
You know, and it's just one of those grants,
Right.
you know.
Well, and that kind of helped this cause a little bit because our hands were tied and we would love to help you over on this side of the road, but the grant only covers this
Yeah.
property. But now it's a choice. It's become a choice if we want to spend the money to do that. or
And there
not.
may be other grants that are coming down the pipe. Okay, so I wouldn't close that door, you know, I mean, as grants become available, we'll continue to apply for them. And hopefully there will be grants that will give us a little more leeway into, you know, what we do with them.
Sure.
Any other questions on the resolution? Any motions in order?
Make a motion that we adopt resolution 20-017, a resolution to waive the cost for repair replacement of certain sidewalks within the village of New Haven.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we adopt resolution 20-017. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Nathan?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Malinger? Yes. Trustee Capelli?
Yes.
Trustee Breimer? Yes. Trustee Hatcher?
Yes.
President Silver?
Yes. Item B, which is Olin Street. Olin Street is a one-block street between Division and Elk. And while the house on the corner of Division and Olin has new sidewalks coming down Olin, somehow, some way, we didn't include Olin from Elk. So there's about 100-foot stretch of Olin that was not included in this project. While we're doing the sidewalks on Elk, and we've done the sidewalks on the south side of Division, that 100-foot, 120-foot stretch of Olin is not getting new sidewalks. So we asked the contractor that's doing the work to give us a price for that 100-foot stretch. And the price he gave us was $4,024.89 for that 100-foot stretch of Olin.
So this would only be adding the sidewalk on the west side of the street, is what I'm seeing on the Google Maps, it looks like.
Yep, the west side of Olin.
And so we wouldn't have sidewalk on the east side of the street.
No, we currently don't.
Mhm.
So it would just make that stretch between Division and Elk on Olin new.
Is it partially already new?
I'm sorry.
It looks like
Yes.
it's.
Yes, from Division,
Because did that homeowner do that?
it's our understanding that homeowner did that a couple years ago.
And then, dare I ask, now that I'm just thinking about this and everything that we talked about, what about Lewis Street? That's a one-block street between,
It was included.
oh, it was included, okay.
It's done.
Oh, okay, awesome. So then that, just for everybody else, if you aren't looking at Google Maps, so then that means that all the north-south roads between Elk and Division would have sidewalks on.
Yes, yes. this would pretty much, finish this project, if we include a short stretch of Olin, would pretty much make all the sidewalks west of the railroad tracks new or new within the last few years. Once they complete Haven Ridge and Park Street.
I make a motion that we approve the, what do we say, the contract amount or the additional expenditure for $4,024.89 for the additional sidewalk at 30780 Elk Street.
Support?
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the contract for the additional sidewalk work at the corner of Olin and Elk in the amount of $4,024.89. And this amount, this contract is separate from the current work that's being done. And I say that because the HUD requirements adds about 25% of your cost. Any questions on the motion?
I just have a comment, and this is a really good, example. Like, I feel compelled that we have to do that because we're paying for other people's above and beyond what's required, so.
And so it pretty much completes the west side of the tracks. Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Meissen,
Yes.
trustee Bunkowski,
Yes.
trustee Hashak,
Yes.
trustee Bellinger,
Yes.
trustee Prymore,
Yes.
trustee Piccoli,
Yes.
President Dilbert.
Yes. Ordinance 375, to amend the garbage rates to contract rates. Our contract with GFL calls for an October increase from $15.95 to $16.43. But I am going to ask council to forego that rate increase. We have sufficient funds in our fund balance and the trash fund balance that we can absorb this. So while we will pay GFL $16.43, we will continue to only charge the residents the $15.95 that we currently charge
For how long?
until the next rate increase, which is next October.
So is the proposal that we forego it for the year and then give them both rate increases next year?
No, that's suicide. So we will forego it this year. And in my discussions with Sandy, we're still looking at the numbers and keep an eye on the trash fund balance. What we're hoping to do at minimum is to push back the years. So say next year, if we have to increase, they will get this year's increase.
So it's specifically a trash account that has an overage in it right now.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know how we got the overage?
When we first come in, we discovered, because we have passed on a lot of these savings over the years, that there was a lot of money that had been put into the trash account, and the auditors don't know where it came from. The auditors, John Rhinesmith couldn't say it came from here and it should be over here. They said it's in there, and so just use it. And so, like I said, I think we absorbed a few years under the old trash contract. So we're just, and that fund balance is still in excess of $100,000.
I make a motion that the trash rates remain $50.95.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that the trash rate remain at $15.95 until the next, contract date, which is October of 2021. Any questions on the motion?
I have one on the fund balance, so what we were given here as of 9:30, the fund balance is $113,526. What is the deficit we will get from not passing on the rate, just how fast will that fund balance drop in the year?
Right now, we have come up with $19,000. When it goes down, we 20 grand. We cut 18. We $2 grand now. And then if we, in October, if we sell, another 50 cents over, we bill 2,000 people, so it's another $1,000. So 2,001 times for 6 months, from the year is $20,000. Against the fund balance.
So we have some cushion there.
We have still some cushion there.
So we're somewhere 89,000 at the end of this fund balance.
So, I suppose we got to remember too, we got 4 people on it too, so that's gonna myself to keep that push. You might even not be there. At the end of it, yeah, we still have a push that we can.
We could see if we could do this for a couple of years. Yes. Any other questions on the motion?
What is the fund balance we're looking for?
I would do 6 months. And our bills are 120, or will be 120. So, that's all, that's. Here. Okay, so if you put 20 grand, we bring in 18 grand, so there's $2,000 that we're shortfall. So we'll still have enough money in there, so we want to keep at least, I want at least 50/50. I'm making myself for that. I mean, we're always on the order, looking at it, making sure that we're okay, and making sure that we also don't want to. You gotta get that fund out a little bit too, so.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, it says water and sewer rate discussion, and we're actually only talking about sewer, because we've already done the water side of it. We were scheduled to, bump up commodity charge to $6 last April, June, and we canceled it because of the pandemic. And it's going to be my recommendation that we continue to put it on hold. Sandy and I have had a lot of discussions, and we looked at it. While it doesn't help our sewer deficit elimination plan, it doesn't hurt us not to collect that $6. And I say that because we have, God, I hate these things. The shortfall is just on the, what's the column? Operational side, okay? We currently operate the sewer department in the black, okay, except for the operational side. So it's just gonna be like we did with the water, where we reduced the commodity, but we increased the, we took the same dollars and just moved them around. But right now, we can put off on doing that at least until the end of the current fiscal year, and it doesn't put us in any harm's way. Our general fund is healthy enough to continue contributing to that side of the column. And of course, we still want to do what we can to hold back on imposing any additional hardship on our residents. So this goes along with not increasing the garbage rates, and so I would ask that we not increase the sewer rates.
So looking at what we gave, what we're giving us here, without the rate increase on the operating side of the water, we're looking at about an $83,000 deficit. And then if we implemented it, we would be looking at just over 35,000
Yep.
in the positive.
So you said that we wouldn't be in compliant with the deficit elimination plan, is it? You
Oh,
said-
we're in compliance with it, because we're actually
Okay.
slightly ahead of schedule.
But you said something at the beginning that we,
That it's not gonna put us in harm's way.
oh, okay.
It's not gonna cause us any grief.
We're already past the 5 years, looking here, so what are they gonna do? I mean, we have a plan, but we were just trying to get it done in 2 years, I mean, we're still on track. But, I mean, if we do this along, so all the stuff go around, stuff like that, we keep track of it, right now, we do change now back to 6. We brought this up because it's in September, our ordinance says that we have to, look at this in September, our rates, we bring it to your attention, either we can go ahead and forego what we stop at $6, or we can implement it now, or whatever you guys decide. So we're giving you the option of what you want to do with that, but this is what my bottom line is gonna look like if we do it, so, I mean, we still have general fund helping.
And with our growth,
We-
that's the big sticker. We have so much growth going on right now that it's, while we think we got our hands around it and, but we know that it's much bigger than what we're actually seeing. So until we get a full year of, steady income and whatnot, then we can really, because that $6 may not be what we need in the future. It may be something less than that.
Right. And I was going to ask that question, at what point will we know, can you remind us what our additional revenues will be?
It's hard to say right now. It's just happening so quick right now. According to ordinance, we have to take a look at this every September. And so that's what we did, for now, just taking a look at what is actually, what we can actually see and, what we can touch.
Right.
Okay, and so we know that we are becoming healthier and healthier, as time goes on, and we truly believe that by the end of this fiscal year, we may come back and say, we don't need $6, we only need $2.
Because at that point, you feel we'll be notified of what our additional revenues are.
Yes, and we can really have a clear picture.
I mean, I know, I came with you with the $6 before, we weren't doing, we were $182,000 in the hole for our operating costs. We don't have anything coming up that is major repair or anything like that. So that'll help operating costs too, on top of that. I mean, it's constantly changing. We're having, our growth is going on backwards, I don't know what to even compare it to where we're standing and where we're at. I do know that we're having trailer parks coming in, and we want housing coming in. Our sewer debt money is getting bigger and bigger. So I'm gonna start looking at that. Our bottom line sewer looks really, really good. And I can't tell you, we ended up $350,000 against our deficit last year. So this time, with this, if we don't implement that, we still, I'm guessing that we're probably still gonna be at least at 185 that we put in general fund in there towards our deficit. So we got it down to $750,000. We're gonna slow that, this is gonna slow us down getting out of the deficit situation, maybe a year if we don't implement. But to keep us stuff in our hands, we're gonna be at 10 years anyway, we're 5 years over as it is, so let's make ourselves stable and steady. And then when this COVID stuff goes over, we don't know what the stuff is gonna affect us right now. I mean, we are seeing effective stuff happening to our gas tax and our Act 51 and our state tax line, sorry. That stuff is coming down. So I don't wanna, it's hard to determine right now. I'd like you to see what our numbers are right now. We'll keep on abreast of it and try to make sure that we give you the information that we have. And we're helping, we've got a good helping fund balance here, so nothing's really affecting us right now. I don't know if I'm making myself clear on that. But
We don't want to overreact.
the word is stable, it's not really.
We just want to take it slow because we would certainly hate to impose an increase and it's not the right increase or it's too much or it's, it's just, we just want to leave it right where it's at right now. And when we can give a clear picture as to the bottom line, because we know that there are some deficits, some reductions that are coming out from the state. We've had conversations with them. We know that our revenue sharing, while there's two parts of our revenue sharing, there's a constitutional mandated portion that they can't reduce, but there's another portion of our revenue sharing that they can reduce. And we know that it's going to take a hit. We're not sure what the hit's going to be, but rumor has it it's about 25%. We know that Act 51 funds are going to be reduced just based on gas sales. And we assume, I think we have a preliminary number that our Act 51 is going to be reduced by 60 grand. So there's some things that are going to happen, but the fortunate thing that we have consistently over the years been conservative in our budgeting. We haven't spent new construction tax dollars for at least 2-3 years after the fact. So, just being conservative has, like we have in the past, and we will continue to be conservative. And when this pandemic hit, well, a lot of communities are scrambling. We haven't had to scramble. Okay, we're solid, and we want to remain solid. So, but by the same token, we don't want to put any additional burden on our residents. So that's why we're making this request that we continue to put off on this commodity increase on the sewer side, and we'll take another look at it at the end of the current fiscal year.
I move that we make no changes to the sewer rates until the end of the fiscal year.
Been properly moved and supported that we do not change the sewer commodity until the end of the fiscal year. We'll take another look at it. Any questions on the motion?
Do we have a point in time when we plan to take a look at the sewer debt rate that we're charging?
Yes. Yes, we had a conversation today. That's ironic. The sewer debt portion, we're still a little iffy on. We're more comfortable with possibly taking a hard look at the water debt, which is the smaller of the two, but we think that we're almost in a position where we can do a reduction on that side. Yeah.
What my worries are with the sewer there is they have a $120 million repair bond out there with different phases in them, and we're going to get with our portion. I think our portion was almost $2 million. We're going to see in our bonds. I don't have no timing, and I know it's coming up. So stuff like that we have to figure out. So, yeah.
Well, the cost of the North Gratiot Interceptor is being reduced and paid off. There are additional repair work by the Drain Commissioner's office that constantly sends us a new bill for additional work. They just implemented one of the pump stations, $56 million repair to one of the pump stations and something else. So of course we get a portion of that. So while the debt, while the North Gratiot Interceptor is being paid off, there's so many other repair jobs being done out there. It's hard to say, it's hard to reduce we may have to call it something else.
Well, yeah, and that's why I guess what I was kind of curious about it, because, to that point, I mean, it sounds like the Macomb County Public Works, they're never going to stop billing us for stuff.
Yeah.
And at some point, I would think that the bond money has to be the bond money that we're repaying, and then.
We gotta realize the $750,000 thing.
Right. Right, but then we keep adding in all this stuff that the public works is billing us for. It just seems like the sewer debt is gonna never be ending at all.
It
I mean, it might go
conceivably,
down, but it's just never ending.
we gotta stop looking at the sewer debt as just for the northwest intersection, because it no longer is just for the northwest intersection. The sewer debt covers, probably 15 different bonding,
Yeah,
no, I mean, as far as projects. Yeah, there's so many different bonding projects, because I think the one project that they just completed, a little while back, we decided to pay in full. We paid it up front. So there are projects constantly coming down the pipe that our portion, requires us to make that monthly payment on. And, we do have the option to pay up front or to pay it over 20 years or whatever it might be.
Yeah,
And that's important information to share with our community, because there's a little banter goes on about the, old people decided this, not new residents, et cetera, but it is an ongoing debt, you are correct.
It's ongoing debt, so that sewer debt portion of our water bill covers a lot of different bonding projects.
yeah.
Did you say 2042?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, well, and that's why I asked, because I mean, just for a communication, to the residents that we can convey to them is,
Sure.
it seems like, we keep having these things that the county is billing us for, and we're using the sewer debt or the water debt to help pay for it. I just don't know if maybe that's really the proper way that we should be doing it, or maybe if we so when 2042 hits, that we're all kind of aiming for in our head, and now we still have all these other projects that we've been billed for, and we're
Right.
still, the bonds are, I mean, not the bonds are paid, but now we still have all this other debt that we're paying.
Yes.
It's just, is there ever a light at the tunnel where we're not gonna have sewer debt and we're not gonna have water debt? Or is there, I mean, because I don't see it from other communities, so I guess that's where I'm a little confused. Like, when you look at other communities' water bills, they just have water charge and sewer charge. It's just the per unit rate.
They could be calling it something else.
Yeah, look at the readiness to serve.
Right,
Yeah.
their readiness to serve usually is high.
Whatever, we have 28.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where they hide it at.
Right,
I can tell you, Washington Township is paying almost the exact same amount of money we're paying per unit sewer and water. The bills are coming up anywhere from 105 to 130 on average a month.
mhm,
Other communities are catching up to it.
yeah,
Fraser, you could pay up to $300 a month for water.
yeah. Well, I know I've been seeing other communities where they're paying just as much.
So we may have to take a look at, and if you think it makes sense to call this debt something else, and maybe possibly separate the northwest interceptor so that that specific amount is going just to retire that, and then, move the other costs over into readiness to serve, or, I don't know, some catchy name for
Yeah,
it.
right, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all the same,
Yeah,
but,
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what you call it, it's your money.
right.
Yeah, you're still paying it, sure.
Yeah, and I get that. I guess it's just, like Trustee Bankowski said, there's always this banter about, the sewer debt, the bonds and everything. It's just kind of disheartening that we're still, it's like just no end in sight. It really is.
It's road repair.
Right,
You're always gonna pay the repair of the road. You're always gonna pay the repair of the road.
right.
It's,
But I think that's,
I don't think that will ever go away, but there's always gonna be maintenance on
right,
the water line. But I do think it is smarter to sometimes you can take a look at, see what we're charging with accurate, if we're not overcharging, we can bring that amount down, or how we were in the road now.
right. Yeah, because that's, I mean, we've always said that the more houses, the more people paying into the pot, that amount should be going down. And now we have multiple years of growth in the community, should be able to go down.
But in the last couple of years, we've also taken on at least 3 other bonds from the county.
Right, well, I think that's the communication that we, like, maybe we need to put something, we need to put like a one pager or a flyer or something we can put up on the village website.
And
or
we can
can
list all the
post or
bonds.
something.
That'd be
FYI,
great.
these are additional bonds that the village has incurred over the past few years.
And the largest one still hasn't come down the pike yet, which is gonna be how much, Sandy? It was it was like 70 or 80 million dollars. So, yeah, there's another one that they haven't started the project. They're still in the design phase of the project.
And in theory, that would be long past the 2042.
Well, it all depends on how they can bond it out. This latest one is a 20-year, and I think they typically try to stick to like a 20-year payback.
Right. Yeah. We got 2 more years and we'll start adding years.
Okay,
Yeah.
item E.
Nope, we gotta
We
vote.
need to
Gotta
vote
vote.
on that.
So it's been properly moved that we freeze the sewer commodity rate. Any questions on the motion?
Just have it. We have the questions in the motion.
Oh, she just had it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item E, AEW, they inspect the Clark Street Bridge. I think it's annually or is it biannually? Submit?
Have not seen it, I think it's annual.
Yeah, I think it's annually. Yeah, so that's their cost of $2,800 to inspect the Clark Street Bridge. Yeah.
Make a motion that we authorize payment of $2,800 for bridge inspection of Clark Street, the legislative explain.
Support.
It's properly moved and supported that we approve the bridge inspection on Clark Street to AEW in the amount of $2,800. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Pridemore,
Trustee Ratcliffe?
Yes.
Trustee Michael?
Yes.
Trustee Boyd?
Yes.
Trustee Bonner?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee McDermott?
Yes. Motion carried. Item F. We need to approve a change order. The sidewalk project that we're undergoing right now, HUD says that part of that sidewalk, $57,000 worth, is in a floodplain. We've had a discussion, we've disputed it. They are using an ancient FEMA map as a floodplain. I've lived here all my life. I've never seen a flood in the village. And so part of the sidewalk they will not cover. So we had to create these gaps. There's a section on Clark Street by the bridge, by the cemetery. And, you know, if you stand there on the top of the bridge and look down, the water is probably 10, 12 feet from you. And on our worst rainy days, that water is still 10, 12 feet from you. I've never seen it come up, but it said it's a floodplain. On Haven Ridge, by the Haven Ridge Bridge near Elk Street, they call that a floodplain. That's the same water. That's the ship drain that runs through there. I've never seen it more than 2 feet deep on its worst day. And it would take a good 12 feet to get up to the road. They consider that bridge a floodplain. And when you turn the corner on Elk Street, the first 200 feet on Elk, 300 feet, 400 feet on Elk, they consider it the floodplain. So the funds that we receive to do this sidewalk replacement cannot be applied to those areas.
So the options are to approve this or not and have sections of the undone sidewalk
Yes,
in the floodplain area.
yes. And HUD is using, well, it's the county that's using the outdated FEMA map showing the flood, and I don't know, we're in the process of trying to figure out how we can update this map, but it's too late for this particular project, because we never want to get caught in this situation again. Like I said, I've lived there all my life, and I've never seen a flood. And I'm sure that 1,000-year flood is waiting to happen. But, yeah. So, with that being said, the $57,754 of sidewalk that they will not cover under this particular grant.
Can we use that grant to finish Poland and the areas that we just approved?
No,
No?
no. No.
I mean, ultimately, I don't like the idea of not finishing what we started. Out of curiosity, I mean, all said and done, do we know the village portion here, the 57,000 plus the 4,000 we just approved? Do we know how much this whole sidewalk project is costing the village? Okay. The total for the project.
Including this 57?
But
They're giving us 250, is that what they said?
the village, or I mean, the grant is half of it.
But,
Well, a little bit less now because of the 57. Right. So the grant was gonna pay for half of the 550, but they're not paying for the 57, right?
right, you're not paying for it.
So it's a little less than half, so now the village is paying a little bit more than half, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, 250 is max, anyway.
Oh.
Okay, right. 250 is max, so regardless of what we have, it's not gonna be more than 250.
Oh, the grant, no.
Yeah, the grant is, 250 max.
I mean, ultimately, if we weren't to approve it tonight, it would just look sloppy. I mean,
So the question about the grant then, if it's 250 max up to like 50% or whatever, and we already were exceeding that $50,000 over and above the matching portion, then is it really just a formality to say this portion of it is something we're covering?
Because, yes, yeah,
But so it really doesn't change the amount they're paying, it's just
right,
a formality of changing the way that we're looking at it.
right, exactly.
So we're paying that amount of money anyway. For this.
Because we're paying more than half already.
Already,
Yeah.
so we just have to say that we're allocating 57 of our half to something that they're not, their funds aren't gonna go towards that.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the change order, for the $57,754.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we approve the change order in the amount of $57,754. Now I'm gonna give you my opinion. This HUD grant, they have really tied our hands on it. And I say that because we attempted to say, okay, if you're not gonna cover this portion, then we will go out and we will pull this back and we will go and rebid it, get a different contractor, and not have to worry about the Davis-Bacon rules and all the other things that they've applied. That, no, you can't do that. Look, you're not paying for it, we are. No, you can't do that. Okay? You have to complete it as part of this. Okay, so they have really, in my opinion, their restrictions and crap have put another $100,000 on this project. Okay, and with that being said, the sidewalk, the new construction that we have already been awarded, at some point in time, don't be surprised if I come back and say, we don't want it. Because we can bid it out cheaper without all the red tape. Just my opinion. This MDOT road project was much easier. If I filled out one form for them, I filled out 10 for us. And we're still getting forms that we have to fill out. We have to interview every employee.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, when you, if you consider how much pork is added into the
Yes.
price.
It's not, it's getting to the point where it's not worth it. And that's why a lot of communities, I found out after the fact that a lot of communities don't deal with them. And a lot of contractors will not bid on HUD work. So, any other questions on the motion? That's just me on my soapbox for 30 seconds. Thank you for. But it definitely has been a learning process.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, maybe declare that the project budget right now is $150,550 to cover the entire project.
Any other questions on the motion?
Sorry, Mr. Metzer, are you asking us to amend the motion then to say that?
No.
For the record.
Okay.
He doesn't get a chance to talk at home, so he wants to talk here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Michael?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Pridemore? Yes. Trustee Bonner? Yes. Trustee Capelli?
Yes.
President Booker?
Yes. Item G, coronavirus relief, local government grants. You know, we're getting money from the county. We just received a $22,000 check from the state. Sandy, is that the right amount? Huh? Okay. And for stuff related to COVID-19, the cost of this Zoom meeting, we can charge back. All the sanitizers, the face masks, and our Tuesday morning department head meetings, I encourage department heads, take a look, see what you need. They're gonna start looking at those misters, the ultraviolet things that you can put in the room and kill whatever. They're taking a look at whatever we can use to spend the money. We have until December, there's a date in December, and all funds not spent, and this whole grant is subject to audit. All funds not spent have to be returned. So we're looking at, you know, what we can spend it on.
So the state proactively sent us a check and go spend it.
Go spend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of funny that that's.
Yeah.
Right, you would expect it that we would bill. Yeah.
Well, you know, on that note, our road project, NDOT sent us the check in advance. Okay. This road project in NDOT has been so easy to work with. It is almost scary. Like, this is too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is too easy. I mean, and they gave us the money in advance. So. But yeah, so if you have any ideas, suggestions, there's a list on the state website that, you know, that the money can be used for. And it's fairly restrictive. You know, there's a few, you know, you gotta have, you know, imagination, but it is subject to audit. So we have to be careful that we're not gonna get, you know.
I do see actually here in the list of the non-exclusive examples of eligible expenditures, number 3, it does actually say payroll expenses for public safety, public health, healthcare, human services, and similar employees. whose services are substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency.
And then you gotta be able to prove that.
Well, wouldn't that cover then the fire department?
Well, it would, their expenses, some of their expenses, taking a look at that. And I had a conversation with the county, because the same program is coming down to the county.
Okay.
And I don't know why they're getting, two different ones, but trying to justify where, okay, 10%, 20%, 50% of our payroll expenses for this time period was,
Specifically for,
COVID related.
okay,
And that's where
right,
it's, I don't want to get caught in an audit where we're,
right,
trying to justify it and, we don't have the documentation or the medical, backup to say that, this is what happened. Hi.
I have an example, for instance. The fire department, they go on the run. They have COVID symptoms, but they don't know it's COVID symptoms. How do they get the report saying it's COVID symptom, and how can we say that run was COVID?
right,
Yeah.
So that's what our problems are, have been trying to figure out how we can document this so that it's actually COVID,
yeah,
and that's where we're running into. I think what they're talking about is that we have first line, responders. Some of them are dedicated to setting up sanitizing stations.
okay,
Some will be assigned out to distributing masks and put them on payroll. That's COVID specific, but in the course of your job, if you run across somebody with COVID, it is a problem.
right, okay, okay.
Trust me, we've been trying to figure out
Yeah, well,
how we
yeah,
can charge off the last 6 months of payroll to this.
right, yeah,
So we will continue to look at that and see where we end up at. Yeah, we still got a few months. I think we're ready. Are we ready for budget amendments? Sandy?
dental bids.
Demo bids. Well, we got, we had posted, for the demolition of the Elk Street house. And we got 3 bids. And the low bid from Simply Construction, we had to disqualify because they didn't sign the bid. And the second low bid is Blue Star.
Mr. President, I did receive a call back from Thomas Trucking, the bidder that we couldn't get hold of,
Yeah,
and they explained the 12,000 and 12,000 listed together. They said the total is 12,000, not 24,000.
oh, that changes
Oh, that
everything.
makes them the lowest bid.
Correct. But if you look at their bid, they were showing 12,000 and then another 12,000, and then the office survey plus a $3 per square foot. But his total is still set at 12.
Yeah.
We couldn't get that clarification until 4 hours after.
Okay,
I
okay.
asked him to send me an email to confirm that, and I just received it on the way here. So Thomas Trucking total is 12 plus 750 plus estimated 71 amount. And that would make him the lower.
And the amount is,
19,851.
Mario,
I got 19,851.
I trust you.
The low bidder, apparent low bidder is Thomas Trucking with 19,851. So if council allows, we'll change our recommendation. pending confirmation of that number with Thomas Trucking, to award Thomas Trucking. And if not, for any reason they cannot do it, I would like council to give you the authority to award it to Blue Star, which we cannot, decide in writing.
Okay. Okay. You've heard the request.
Mr. Thomas Trucking did supply the information on the correct, signed form before the deadline, right?
They did.
Okay, so we're just relooking at the number.
Yeah, but their math, it was not,
Yeah, it was confusing.
Okay.
we tried to get clarification, but at the time, I needed to send you a recommendation for review. And then he called me about 6 o'clock.
So there was no changes after the deadline, just clarifying what was going on.
And his total was shown on his bid, it was so close, but the math didn't work. So I tried to get confirmation, which we couldn't get, until later on.
So the bid opening was at 2 o'clock, and like I said, yeah, I left out of here confused.
At 2 p.m. when they submit their bids, they're not allowed to change.
You heard the request?
Make a motion that we approve the contract conditionally for Thomas Trucking for $19,851, pending we get the written confirmation. Otherwise, granting President Dilbert permission for our second lowest bid with Blue Star in the amount of $30,400.
And properly moved and supported. That we award the bid to Thomas Trucking in the amount of $19,851, pending written confirmation. And if not, we will give the bid to Blue Star in the amount of $30,400. Any questions on the motion?
My only question is just to, Mr. Addis, that's gonna work?
We'll read it. The alternative bid?
My question is that we have the power to do that as long as, even though the math isn't right on the bid.
You have the power to do it, as he stated it in the alternative. They can't do it and fix it, and you automatically default to the one that's proper.
Did that answer your question?
It does.
I guess one more question. So we're allowing Thomas Trucking to get us in writing the clarification on their bid proposal. Would it not be fair to also give Simply Construction the ability to sign theirs or clarify or?
Not signing a proposal is automatic disqualification.
Okay.
I actually had that same question earlier this week. And I wanted to appreciate that. It is by other court decisions that we made in Michigan, and I would my argument would be it's COVID time, someone forgot to sign something. Didn't work out of their office or whatever. The problem you might have with that is that in case law Michigan, that unsigned bid is there.
Okay.
Okay. So that, I mean, there's problems with that. I'm with you, it's fair, but
Nope.
unsigned bid isn't there.
That makes sense to me. That answers it.
Any other questions? Roll, please.
Trustee Mason?
Yes.
Trustee Cohen?
Yes.
Trustee Donovan? Yes. Trustee Bukowski?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan? Yes. Trustee Hudson?
yes,
President Dilbert?
Yes. Budget amendment.
Do you have any questions on what I sent you? I'll go over it really quickly. Some of the things that we didn't, like, with the CDBG money, we're not getting it for this fiscal year, but we got to it last year. Which is even when we had our application and stuff like that, so I need to put that in the budget before we have the budget. We received almost $8,500 in donations from music and parks, so I'll get that on the budget. We spent $1,800 on COVID stuff, but we'll probably do more of it right now. I'd like to put up $3,000 to figure out what's going on with that. Some leaves, I did some cleaning up of stuff. The CDBG, we know our council approved amount is $359,630, so I'm gonna have to change that with, which I have down on the bottom here, since we approved it, for $57,754, let's put that on the line item. Also, the $4,029.84 that was passed for the CDBG sidewalks. So that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to do. Or we can just wait for the next time we can have a petition and sleep or spending on it the way it is, whichever way we wanna do it. We got the state grant for the streets from the MDOT of $231,000. We received that in April, so we have to get that on the current budget. And the $535,000 is street rehab that we need to get on the budget. I was waiting for the city to get our stuff on out here. And as you know, we did the budget back in December. We didn't have any numbers. I did some bookkeeping, cleaning up on bank charges. And we are seeing, of course, a certificate of occupancy in the building department is going bonkers. So I would like to make that more money, but to add $8,700 to what I have currently budgeted. Water connections. I'm increasing the budget by $25,000. I'm thinking I'll probably have to increase it again next quarter. Appreciating expense a little bit different than usual. Sewer connections, as you said, we got a good growth. That's going up too. I'll probably have to hit that again next quarter. So nothing out of the ordinary. We knew everything that I'm changing to, just catching up with everything that happened in the past 6 months. We do have to add additional to $4,029.84, $19,851, and $2,800 for the bridge. But that anyway, from this time, it's approved, I can always add that later. Anybody have any questions? So basically, I'm changing the revenue like $547,861.77, and expenses as my paper without the changes from the meeting tonight, $730,456.25.
I make a motion that we amend the budget as presented.
Support.
Been properly moved and supported that we amend the budget as presented. Any questions on the motion?
So this includes the change we made today, or is it just,
No, we put that on the quarter. It's approved, so we'll just want to check. Thank you.
Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Payroll? Yes. Trustee Mason?
Yes.
Trustee Paul?
yes,
Trustee Bellinger? Yes. Trustee Rusher?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
President Robert?
Yes. Attorney items. Seeing none. Payment of bills.
I make a motion that we approve the payment of bills in the amount of $409,045.18.
Properly moved and supported that we pay the bills in the amount of $409,045.18. Any questions on the motion? Roll, please.
Trustee Mason?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bellinger? Yes.
Yes. Treasurer's report.
Total village cash asset of $5,112,538.59.
Make a motion that we receive and file the treasurer's report.
Been moved that we receive and file the treasurer's report. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The clerk is requesting October agenda items by October 3rd. New business, Park and Rec update.
All right, thank you. Parks and Rec, very brief. We did meet last month. Slow roll has ended, as everyone knows. We are working on dates for that for next year. We are also putting together all of our events for next year, as well as setting our chairs and the dates for those events. We'll have those up very soon. We're working on a few things for the fall and also figuring out what we're going to do with all of the usual winter events that we normally have in the village. So we'll have updates on all of those, hopefully after next week's meeting. And the other item to bring to everyone's attention is the Hello New Haven Amazon Alexa skill is live. It can be added to your Alexa device. Give it a try. It's pretty interesting, to say the very least. Other than that, we meet next Tuesday, and that's all I've got.
Thank you, thank you. And I will add that the activity and the energy and effort of the Parks and Rec Committee this year during this crazy time has been fantastic. Between the slow roll, the movies in the park, and the music in the park, the people have really, I think, enjoyed just being out and seeing other humans.
They've really given a sense of normalcy through all of this.
Yes, we have. They really have.
It's been a lot of fun.
They've done a terrific job. Planning Committee update.
The planning committee did not meet this month. We did not have anything on our agenda. We'll try again next month.
Thank you. Old business, Mr. Mason.
All right, for the hazard pay, so have we, Trustee Pridmore, before I begin, have we heard anything back or President Gilbert on the CARES? No. Okay. All right. So what I distributed to everybody here tonight, I thought this was a nice article by EMS1, and it talked about local governments providing hazard pay stipends for first responders. So going through this, it's a nice summary state by state, so that's why I thought I'd provide it. You get to see all the different circumstances of how they did it. Some of them were $3 per hour hazard pay. You know, to President Gilbert's credit, there are a lot in here that did $2 per hour for the hazard pay. There were ones where they did just a one-time stipend. This is for, you know, the U.S. as a whole. There's Michigan on the second to last sheet. They talk about $1,000 for police officers, $250 for firefighters, and up to $1,000 for any city employee working above and beyond the call of duty. That was for Burton. Detroit said about $800 per month for the duration of the state emergency. Flint was sworn police officers and firefighters would get $1,200 in hazardous duty pay, and the Department of Public Works water service employees will receive $1,000. So it is kind of all over the place, but I do see either, you know, stipends or $2 to $3 per hour as kind of the average of what a lot of the other communities did. You know, at first glance, when we originally discussed this, I thought $2 an hour was really low. But I guess, you know, based off of, you know, hours worked and what other communities had done, I guess it's, you know, it kind of is what it is.
Did you get any comparables for communities on the side?
I do not have that information now. So I don't know if we want to I mean, I can go back and get that and we can present it next month. I mean, the state of emergency is still going on, so it's not like this is,
If you just to find out the communities on size,
I can definitely take that as an action item to do.
And we can always go retro.
Yeah. I believe that was originally the intent, was a retroactive for the whole.
There's a certain date, March 1st or some date.
Yeah.
April
I leave
1st,
it for
March 1st.
pressure to.
Okay, yeah, I'll put something together, and then I'll try to put it like in a matrix format or something, so everybody can kind of just see, based off of population, or ideally what I was really hoping to find is more examples where they're paid on call, similar structure for the fire department. You know, just something to make it more comparable to what our guys are doing.
Something out there somewhere.
Yeah. So that's all I have.
Alrighty. Call from the floor. Call from the table.
I actually have
Last month we had an update on the town center, but I don't think it was actually discussed. There was some paperwork. I don't know how much there was some paperwork that was included in our last month's village document or the council packet.
Oh, that was the response.
they did respond and, for, so they had asked for an argument. Of course, our phone decided that we're gonna waive the oral argument and that the court will issue a written opinion on the motion.
So that doesn't sound so positive for us, or?
It's neutral.
Okay.
Just that due to coronavirus, this is happening a lot now. There's a lot of even over the Zoom. The judges have put it upon themselves to draft a number of written things rather than doing it the way we need to draft it. As the judges do not enough power already. The coronavirus is all. They'll let you in the court if they feel like it, and if they don't, you just send us a note saying, I'll decide it tomorrow. I don't like that at any minute.
Right.
I guess it's fair to everybody. Think on it too. Yeah, we'll work on that. And you don't want anybody in court.
So does that mean then at this point, like there's no counter from us, it's just what we submitted and now what they submitted, and they're gonna go off of
They
that?
submitted the motion to dismiss our case, we responded to the argument, and they're not gonna dismiss our case.
And that's it.
Before the court, the judge is not gonna put that on.
Sure. Okay. Okay. The other item that I wanted to mention too, just a shout out, there's the 47 acre park committee or 47 acre parcel committee, whatever you want to call it, for the property next to Amherst on Clark Street, which will be meeting immediately following the Parks and Rec meeting on Tuesday next week. So if you haven't already, if you have any ideas or anything that you want to suggest as part of that, feel free to email it to myself or Tara Walsh, the Parks and Rec committee chair. She's also chairing up the 47 acre parcel committee. So if you have any suggestions, any ideas, there's a lot of obvious ones that have been already thrown out. So
On the 15th.
let's see, next week.
Yeah.
Yep, 15th. That's it, sorry.
Call from the table. Motion's in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right. Bye, Mark. Bye, Jeff.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
You guys have a good night.